What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Interesting news. It looks like they're talking about possibly making a fight with Carl Froch and none other than Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Now, huge Carl Froch fan. I just like what the guy brings. What he lacks in terms of finesse, he brings it with attitude, spirit, heart. He has a granite fucking chin. And I just like what he's about. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the UK. Shout out to Cobra. And I also like Chavez Jr. Some people see with boxing, some people will never be able. You'll never be able to get me into a certain category because I have brawlers that I absolutely love watching. I like the sweet science. I'm just a boxing fan, you know what I'm saying? So I can appreciate the different styles. Carl Froch is, like I said, he's the man. Chavez Jr. had to grow on me a bit, namely because I really truly respect and hold his father into high regards. I like Chavez Sr. a lot. I think Chavez Sr. has a crazy resume. You know what I mean? No one even fights over 100 fights. Learning on the job, doing everything he did. His father had a granite chin. So, to me, Chavez Sr. is a living legend and somebody that I really respect in the sport for everything he brought. I don't want to hear about, oh, it was a tough fight or Whitaker or this was a robbery. I mean, the man did a lot for the sport and he opened the door for a lot of future talent. People like Canelo and other Mexican stars and just boxing stars in general. So, props to Chavez Sr. That's why Chavez Jr. had to grow on me because I think he put his father's name to shame a bit in spots of his career where he wasn't taking it consistently seriously. In the Andy Lee training camp, he got a DUI. He wasn't making weight. He was just like, you know what I mean, just watching him on what's this shit called 24/7. Freddie Roach was waiting at the gym. Like Freddie Roach is being professional. You relocated him because Freddie Roach is based out of LA. You relocated him to Las Vegas to train for you, and he's training and he's waiting at the gym and you keep the man waiting. This is a Hall of Fame trainer right here, and you're fucking waking up at 5 and eating cereal and jumping in the pool with tidy whities and stuff. Like what, like, you know what I mean? What's the basis? Like what do you care about your career? I understand you're well off or whatever, but I just don't like doing that, especially when you have your father's namesake to carry on in the sport. But again, Chavez Jr. grew on me. I like him. He's entertaining. He has good combination punching, body punching, and he has a fucking granite chin himself. So, Carl Froch versus Chavez Jr. is a fight that I really like. I like Chavez Jr.'s attitude when it comes to the Brian Vera rematch. I think he lost the first fight with Brian Vera due to politics and being the bigger fighter, A side, whatever you want to call it. He won that fight according to the judges. In my book, he lost that fight. But I like how he set the record straight. You got other guys, even like Danny Garcia, took a tough schedule, had some challenging fights, and he's openly saying, hey, Matisse, Mauricio Herrera, they're not getting rematches. So I respect Chavez Jr. for having that true grit to give a tough fight a rematch, you know what I mean, in the Brian Vera fight. And I think he convincingly won in the rematch. I think he did what he did and what he needed to do. He made weight, and I like that attitude. So Chavez Jr., I've always liked his style, you know what I mean? I love his father, and I just, as long as he can keep it together mentally and, like, you know what I mean, don't disrespect the sport, then I have no problems with Chavez Jr. But I like Carl Froch versus Chavez Jr. fight a lot for a lot of reasons. Timing, Chavez Jr. just had a kid, and he seems to be a bit more disciplined. I see videos of him training, keeping his weight down, not ballooning up. And Carl Froch is coming off of a sellout performance at Wembley. You know what I mean? Just 80,000 fans. That's ridiculous. That's a crazy astronomical number. Big event for boxing. Big event for the UK. And he's coming off of an impressive win. And similar situations. Carl Froch had a tough fight with George Groves. I thought it was prematurely stopped. There was a lot of controversy in it. He got knocked down in the first round, I believe it was. And he set the record straight. So both guys, if they were to fight each other next, they're kind of in a similar boat. Chavez Jr., tough fight, controversial fight in the first fight with Brian Vera, set the record straight, convincingly won. Same thing with Carl Froch. Tough fight, George Groves. Controversial ending. Set the record straight. Came back to knock George Groves out. So they both had that same kind of outward look, that attitude, like that machismo, that heart. And I think it's a good fight. I think it's a more realistic fight than Chavez Jr. versus Miguel Cotto. I think Cotto is a better boxer by far than Chavez Jr. But Chavez is huge. That's a big. He's giving up a lot of weight. So I would watch it because it would be interesting to see if Miguel Cotto how he would do. But it's it's borderline unfair the type of weight advantage that Chavez Jr. would have. Like I said, I would watch it. I like both fighters, but this is more realistic. I think Chavez Jr., I don't even know if he can make 160. He says he can. His father says he can. I don't know if he can. And how will he look if he did make it? You know what I'm saying? Is he have to kill himself? Because he looks like a pretty stout dude. So this is more realistic. It's more manageable. Carl Froch, I really, like I said, as much as I could like Carl Froch, I'm also realistic in the sense of his style. I feel there's certain guys he can beat. I don't think he's going to beat Andre Ward even if they were to rematch. I'll watch it because I like both fighters. But I don't think he wins. I think that style will continually give Carl Froch problems. So this is an interesting fight for me because this is a fight that he can win. This is a fight that Chavez Jr. can win. Carl Froch is a little bit older than Chavez Jr., so Chavez Jr. probably has a size advantage even though he was coming up in weight, and Carl Froch has been fighting at 68. And they both had the crazy chins. You can even name it like iron chins at the MGM and shit. You know what I mean? This could be a hellacious fight. I like Chavez Jr.'s dedication to the body work when he does that. Again, both of these fighters have chins. They both have heart. So I think it'd be very entertaining and exciting for the fans. Carl Froch, he also has a good resume. People don't even like win, lose, or draw. When I talk about resume a lot of times on the channel, I'm not talking about just wins, because just winning, unless you're like Mayweather or Rocky Marciano, that's one thing, to stay undefeated, Joe Calzaghe, people like that. But win, lose, or draw, you're still gaining valuable experience, I guess you could say. So I care who you've been in the ring with, win, lose, or draw. Now, I don't want to see someone fight all bums or nothing like that. But if you have a respectable names on your resume, even if you lost them, I still take that as a credible resume, because Cotto has losses to Margarito. He has losses to Pacquiao, but he also has significant wins. Mosley, he has Zab Judah wins. He has tons of wins. So I care who you've been in the ring with, and that's almost a testament to you as a fighter and what you're willing to do. Paulie Malignaggi, he lost most of the big fights, but he's still been in there with some credible names like Miguel Cotto, Ricky Hatton. He's been in there with Sean Porter from the new generation. So Carl Froch, he has some losses. He set the record straight with the Kessler loss. He's been in there with Andre Ward. Carl Froch has also derailed Lucian Bute, who was supposed to be in line to get an Andre Ward fight at the time. He was the most dangerous fight for Ward, and he stopped him dead in his tracks. So this is a good fight for me. I like it. Carl Froch, Chavez Jr., I think it can happen at the MGM. Carl Froch says that's his dream to fight in Vegas, I think he said. So this is a realistic fight that makes sense. Again, there's other opportunities. I don't know Carl Froch. He's kind of at the twilight of his career. I don't think he really wants to move to 175. You got some killers up there. You got guys like Bernard Hopkins, who can make fighters look like pure shit and they never bounce back. You got Sergey Kovalev, who's just destroying people. You got Adonis Stevenson, who didn't look great in his last fight with Funfara, but he still has that crazy power, and he's still a champion in the division. So you would have to get acclimated. These are all tough fights, and he's kind of towards the end of his career. I think a lot of times when fighters get to the end of their career, not saying they're looking for the safest fights, but they're looking for lucrative fights. They want fights that make money. They don't want to step in there with, you know what I'm saying, someone just because legend has it he's a murderer, you know what I'm saying, and he's knocking everybody out. They want to get the fights that make sense for their bank account as well. You know what I mean? Boxing's a business, and you got to take that into consideration. So this is a big fight for both fighters, and I think it would be pay-per-view. I don't think it would have problems selling. Chavez Jr., he's been on pay-per-view before, and he sold good pretty good numbers with Sergio Martinez when they had the pay-per-view. And not to mention, the day they had Sergio Martinez and Chavez Jr. fighting was the same day that Golden Boy was competing with them with Canelo. They had Canelo Josecito Lopez on that same night. And Chavez Jr. really carried the card because Sergio Martinez is a great fighter, but he doesn't really put asses in the seats in the States kind of thing. So I think the bulk of it was because of the Chavez name. Anyway, I think it did like 500 to 650,000 pay-per-view buys. And you got to keep in mind, you had Canelo on an opposing card competing with you the same night. And then as far as Carl Froch, I mean, he just sold out Wembley, 80,000 people. The weigh-in had ridiculous amounts of energy. The day before the fight, just the crowd participation and the boos and the chants. This is definitely pay-per-view worthy. I would pay my pay-per-view money for this. Let me know what you guys think. Chavez Jr. versus Carl Froch. Do you want to see the Cobra and Jr. square off somewhere in like MGM? Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like the video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.